A galactic civil war spreads across the sun. From the heights of Coruscant to fiery Mustafar, to fight the evil empire, for people join the fray. These are the heroes of the Hydian Way.
Welcome to Heroes of the Hydian Way. This is a Star Wars actual play podcast, and we're playing in Edge Studios' Age of Rebellion system. This is Arc 3, Episode 8 of The Hard Road. And I'm Ben, the GM for this adventure, and I'm using they, them pronouns.
Hey, I'm Erica Goodwitch. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Norin Gremian, they, them, engineer, scientist.
I'm Henry. I use she, they pronouns, and I'll be playing Isasel On, who uses she, her pronouns, and she's currently the ship pilot and captain.
Don't say it like that. Currently,
okay.
There's a possibility she might not be anymore.
I mean, considering the whole kersplatting, yes. I do want to get a Destiny pool, because we might need it. We can use it for thematic use.
Yeah,
Since there are two of y'all.
Maybe one day I'll remember D1's thingamabobs.
DR.
Oh, DR. My bad.
What was that?
Because, yeah, if you do the R first, it then rolls a difficulty die.
Oh my god. Oh my.
Oh, look. Well, this makes sense. So we're starting at 4 dark side pips. That totally makes sense.
I mean, I did toss in a roll. What the? How did that one work?
Oh, the SR?
Yeah, the SR.
Weird. So, are there only 3 dark side pips?
I mean, I'm not against keeping 4.
I'm okay with keeping the 4th one, too. It's just...
Of course you
drunk,
are.
and I'm worried that it's going to go home. Visually, we pick up with a light blue haze around Isasel. Her hair is out flowy as if she's in 0G. And all of a sudden, she wakes up, finding that she's underwater. And I want to get a 2 purple athletics check off of Isasel.
Oh, this is going to be great because I don't have athletics.
Good. I'm using the Destiny point for the scene starting that way, not for the difficulty.
So 2 green, 2 purple. This is going to be fun. Let's see what happens to her. 3 failures and an advantage.
As soon as Isasel starts going up any, all of a sudden the current happens. It's like it just slides up under the back of her coat and just is lifting her up into the stream of this flow of water. As we look around, we see beige rocks and sand and beautiful verdant trees and bushes and everything around. It's either this wonderful clay or it's green. And there is Isasel going from one side to the other, somehow dodging the first few rocks, and then there's this large craggy one that Isasel's attempting to swim out of the way, but gets smashed up against. I mean, you did get an advantage on the roll. How do you want to use the advantage?
So, I'm not getting out of this water, and I'm about to slam into this rock. Can I use the advantage to make a roll to go? So, when it comes down to the currents, especially currents at pool, she grew up in the water. She grew up by rivers. Instead of trying to pull left, right, because she can't, can I roll to try to go down so she can get to the, like, let herself be pulled down so she can kick off the ground instead of trying to fight this current that she's not going to win against.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right, how about try this roll? Can I roll coordination to make this happen?
Totally.
Yeah, that's something I can do. I mean, it's 3 green, but you know what? It's better than what was happening.
I'm going to go with it be another 2 purple check.
Yeah. Alrighty, so let's 3 green, 2 purple. Let's see if she can get out of the water, because if not, she's under now. She's really in there. 5 success.
I mean, the difficulty didn't exactly show up, but yeah, 5 success. So yes, absolutely. How is this looking? Because I'm figuring this solves a major problem for Izazel.
So she's trying to swim left, she's trying to swim right. None of these are working. And then she remember. It's one of those things where it's been so long since she's been in a river like this, she forgot for a moment that this is how you do it, and kind of just remembers being taught how to swim growing up, and remembers her mother telling her like what happens when you fall in a river with a strong current. And she sees this rock coming and just pencils herself, fires down to the bottom of the river and hits the ground, gives it a moment, and then kicks towards like going sideways, still going forward, but putting all her energy going to the side so that she can just like follow the bottom of the river current to like push herself out until she's able to like grab onto something.
So I'm figuring that Izazel is able to find a tree that's fallen into the water and is able to wrap her arms around that. On the bank, Izazel can see a circle of stones and then 4 logs in a half hexagon. It works, honest. That is around the campfire. The campfire's out. Looks like there's ashes there, but it doesn't exactly look abandoned, but it doesn't look like anyone's currently there. You don't see any tents. You don't see any places really for sleeping bags or anything like that. Doesn't look like anyone's been here in ages, but it does look like this is a place for a fire that's been properly set up, so it's not going to spread out.
So she sees this and just like looking around, and all she's thinking in her head's like, she doesn't know. It's everything's foggy. All she knows like, I'm cold. I'm wet. I need to warm up. I need to dry out. And she starts just like kind of like, as soon as she's out of her, walking towards the campfire so she could try to start a fire, so she could dry herself out, so she could keep herself from getting sick. She knows how to survive in places like this, at least the basics. Even if it's been a long time, she has the basics in her head, the voice in the back of her head of like how to survive, how to keep moving. Though I want to try something just because like she's just like something she hasn't done in a little, especially if no one's here. Can I roll a force die to try to activate move?
Sure.
There we go. Please, D1, give me a force. Oh wait, ignore that. I forgot. It's W.
It's W. I think F also
works.
Oh, look, now it shows up that way.
So since I have 2 force pips, I can use one of those pips to increase like the strength of it. She takes. No, I'm not gonna increase the strength. She's just gonna like move the logs one by one and try to like put them in a little like TP formation. Just like have them create like a little tent so that she could get a nice fire going. Or she's gonna try to.
Okay. I might have misstated how big the logs are. Like, the logs are big enough that 2 people could sit on them.
Oh, they're those kind of logs.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, there's a huge amount of underbrush that you'd totally be able to do that with.
Those logs are bigger than I expect. You know what? She's like one of those things. I'm still going to say she lifted it and then realized, that's far too big to make a fire. Like, she's out of it. Puts it back down. At this point, she's just showing off, but just like puts it back down, and then it's gonna try to find some wood to light up.
I'm gonna go with it. It's actually very easy to find some wood. It's not stacked, it's not cut or anything like that, but there's enough underbrush around that you'd absolutely be able to find enough to make at least a bit of a smoky fire. Anything that looks to be dried out, you can definitely find like a few dried up bushes, but for anything larger, it is looking like you'd need to find an axe or a saw or somehow of splitting things. At the moment, none are apparent.
She kind of like is just gonna do the best, and then she's gonna take off her jacket and put it on a rock near the fire just so she could try to dry that out, and just try to dry out and try to figure out where am I.
You're able to catch your breath there. You're starting to dry out. You can feel like your shoulders start to dry from being dunked in the water. The tops of your legs as you're sitting down and sort of getting in front of the fire. As you're sort of focusing, sort of trying to figure out what the heck's going on, a Pantoran that you recognize steps on a twig as they come out of the forest. I was not expecting to find you around here. At least not anytime soon. Deciding to stop moving from disaster to disaster?
She's kind of defiant. She's not turning around, just like trying to stay calm. Is like funny, very, very funny. I don't go from disaster to disaster. Disasters come to me. Then she stops. That sounded worse than I expected it to be.
Doesn't it always? Some of us aren't so lucky to be able to survive the disasters. They move around the fire, sitting on the opposite side from you. Set down, and it looks like they've got prisoner fatigues on. Like the jumpsuit that a Imperial prisoner would have.
This is when she looks up. Is like, are you okay? Did you break out? Is there a prison here?
Not in the way that you mean. This is what it is. But no, there's no prison around here. There has been no exact prison break, though the way I escaped is not the way I would recommend for anyone else. There's a bit too much sudden pain involved.
She stopped. She kind of clicks in her. She's like, Am I dead?"
That is to be decided. By us, by you, by those around you. Do you want to be saved?
She looks up at them. Like, "No, I'll save myself as I usually do." Well, she giggles. Let's be true. I'll be saved by someone else, as I usually am. She looks up at them and just kind of like, "I'm sorry, I wasn't there to save you. I'm sorry, Nor."
You weren't the last one to run away. It was disappointing, but after a while you get used to it. Everyone running, everyone moving. Finally being the last one when no one else appears at a drop location. Being the sacrificial nerf. But I do remember you fondly from those days, running in spice and other things.
It was quite an adventure, but I couldn't stay.
Work like that's best if you get in and get out. Anything else, staying in just gets you dead. And now you talk of having people to pull you out.
I'm the captain of a crew now. My own crew.
Wow. A crew of all your own. And
And-
you're being responsible for them?
I tried to be. We try to rescue people. Try to rescue all the people I couldn't rescue before.
That is quite a tally.
I have a lot of failures to make up for.
Are you keeping your focus on the job at hand, or expanding it as you do? Or did?
For once, I was trying to focus. I was focusing in the mission at hand each time, trying to help people, but I just get these feelings, and I can't ignore them. But there's something more, and then it becomes too much. But I couldn't run this time. Well, I ran, but not away.
That seems to be a first. What do you intend to do if you find those? For some troubles are caused, and finding a solution is not simple.
She just gains a smile comes across her face. She's like, "There, you're not wrong. They're not simple. They're not easy, but I found some people that can help me with them. They weren't like us. Oh, one of them, I'm pretty sure was probably worse than every one of us put together. But that's an entirely different story. But he means well. Feels like someone else who's trying to make up for it, Ali. But then there's others. Well, one in particular that actually can help me find a way to do some good. To make up for everything.
That does sound like a good start. Trying to help those, trying to help others, is not something that is done as much these days. You see the white buckets come around, and all of a sudden, all the communities disappear into the shadows.
She's looking at the flames and just like looking around, look at the light they're making right now, just like, well, sometimes the shadows are more comfortable. But if we had our own flame, they couldn't push us away anymore.
And that can be a very troublesome thing, having a flame of your own. Are you sure you're up to it?
She looks up at Nino and is like, for once, I feel that I am.
So you think that you have a direction to go back to, a desire to set things right. Do you think you'll be able to actually affect things?
Alone? No. I've accepted. Alone I cannot change much. But I found more than just my crew. There's people who want to do better. People who believe in each other. That want to save as many people as possible. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, not since home. Not since I left. She kind of looks around. This feels like home, you know? Or where I came from.
Nice place from the looks of it.
It was beautiful. Well, the parts that weren't destroyed yet.
A great memory to have. One to come back to.
Not one I can stay at very long. Because when I do, you just start smelling the industry, the burning. It's only good for a moment.
And it keeps coming to eat everything. And I'm thinking it's at that point, like, as he says everything, he sort of fades. As he does, you notice suddenly the fire site is the same. Like, inside the 4 logs, the rock there, that is the same. But now it is a different river that you're next to. It's wide, and you're on a little bit of a rise next to it. You can see down the river, and right next to the river, intensely green. This very bright, almost like new growth green. The bushes here couldn't be more than half a season old. And down the river, you can see hills that are just parched. And off in the distance, you can hear the high-pitched whine of pod racers.
She gets up and gets to the edge of like the campfire and tries to look over to see if she can recognize the track or any of the racers. She was always excited about the races.
I'm going to go with yes. You do recognize the track. I'm going to go with it's the last one that Isazel raced on.
She's looking across and goes like talking to herself like, and if that's the bank I think it is, if you're not careful, you crash right about there. And she like looks at this hard turn that she remembers kind of like slamming the back of her pod into. Like the smash that would end up like ripping her pod apart as she took it to the end. Kind of just sitting there talking to herself, just like, I never could pay them back for that pod rate. They're probably still angry. They're probably still very angry. I should go pay them back one day.
This is the point, like, or are you just looking at the track, going down memory lane, as it were? Or are you walking towards it?
Like, she's walking towards it, like, as much as she can.
As you're sort of going through your memories and all that, sort of expanding your mind out, I'm thinking that this is a point where I'm going to get a 1 purple perception check from Isazel.
Sweet, let me get my perception again, which is 2 yellow, at least. Yay! 1 purple, right?
Yep, 1 purple.
Can I argue for a boost? Because this is a memory she knows well. One that she's played in her head a lot. 1 success and 2 advantage.
All right. So you do notice one person out of place that is definitely not normally there. A somewhat short-haired, green-skinned person with diamond tattoos on their temples.
The moment she recognizes who she's looking at, she runs for it. Like, she sprints to them.
Okay. I'm figuring that position on the racetrack would be in the pit area. Like, where your pod racer would normally be.
Yeah, she sprints to it, just like, Norin! Like, where's my pod racer? Conversation for another time. Norin!
Norin looks like how they typically look when they're deep, like in the middle of making something, but like they've got, grease and oil smeared on their arms and hands and a little bit on their cheek. Their coveralls are kind of tied around their waist, and they're just in a short sleeve top as they're like twiddling a tool, a spanner in their hand, and they turn and they're like, "Hmm? Oh, I'm waiting for them to bring it back." Hi, Isa.
No, what? She stops. You're not. You're still alive, right? Nor. Oh, you just like she's her like she goes white for a second. Like you're not. You're not just. No. I'm gonna assume you're okay. You were always okay.
They kind of step closer to you, put the back of their hand up against your forehead, and it's like, you do feel a little warm. You all right?
I'm having a very long day. Longest I've had in a while.
Well, yeah, your pod crashed, and we've got to get it back up so you can get back out there.
She stops and goes, "Oh, I don't get back in that pod. When the pod's fixed and the bill's up, I'm already off planet." I didn't have the money to pay him back. I had to leave.
That's weird.
It was one of my recent regrets. It's part of the reason I went intersectional rescue was looking for people for work. I thought you can pay enough to pay them back. Did feel bad about it. They didn't really have any other racers like me after that.
Norin's expression kind of shifts. It's intersector rescue, of course. That job doesn't pay nearly well enough to pay back anybody amount of credits where you would run from them.
No, they don't. And I'll tell you the truth. I almost left, but just something about helping people that was more than a pay. I mean, I'll have to find out how to pay them back eventually, but that'll be something else. It's like I found something more important than credits.
They kind of cross their arms over their chest. And you don't think that could come to bite back more than just you in the butt?
No. It puts everyone in harm's way, but she looks back at Norin. I feel like all of us have that behind us in different ways. Maybe that's what ISR was looking for. People who couldn't run anywhere else but wanted to do something good. She stops and goes, "You know, she starts blushing and she's like, "Oh, Norin, it's not even the real you," and I'm still flustered. I'll say it to you so I can eventually say it to them out. If I survive this, I guess. You do mean a lot to me. It's not just playfulness. You really do. You make me not want to run away. I do need to apologize more for stressing you out. It happens around me.
It's easy to stress me out.
Can I roll I want to roll a destiny die because I want to try out a new power.
Sure. Absolutely.
Oh, please don't give me a dark side pip. No! Isasel was gonna try to read Norin's mind for a second, and it just felt the anxiety and was like, okay, I don't want to feel that. Wow, you really do. Wow, that's just. I need to make you more tea.
Tea isn't going to fix this. Azazel, what? Like, you're nice, But you're so reckless and impulsive, and you don't think ahead of yourself at all. You care so much about me and the other 2 members of our crew, supposedly, but you don't hesitate to put us in danger or in harm's way. To show off. You talk a lot of big words, but I think maybe you should grow up.
She kind of looks down at her arm and pulls up a sleeve of the scar she got from this. The scar she's going to get from this race. It kind of like rubs her hand over. It's like, you're not wrong. My impulsivity is a problem most of the time. And I do try to show off, but it's because I know I should be thinking about it more, but I get these feelings and I can't let them go. I need to do something and I don't understand it most of the time. Like, we were coming down to the planet. I felt so much pain that I needed to go help. And I can't explain it. I feel these things and I feel like that this need, this pull to go do something. But you're right. I'm the captain. It's my responsibility to think about it a moment. To protect you. To protect all of them.
The 2 of you are no longer standing at the pod racer bay. You are now standing in the wreck area of the Codfather. Like, as the discussion has gone to Isazel's actions in the very recent past, it is shifted over to the Codfather. You can see the lights are on, but you definitely see a flicker with them, pacing between the airlock and then the catwalk that goes over the medical and fabrication bay pod. You can see a Z pacing, like hands behind his head, and both of you can see him. Like, Norn is still there. Z looks almost exactly like he would have been just as they were just as the ship was landing on the planet. Nothing that's happened since is there, and it's just him pacing back and forth. Ooh.
Aziz? Are you a memory or are you... Oh, please don't tell... I'm going to assume you're okay, and then you're just like this Noran who is here to scold me.
Rolls their eyes.
But what are you 2 doing here? Lone comes back, and I start losing my mind. Aren't the 2 of you down in one of the operating theaters?
Isatel starts like trying to go through her head, like, why would I be in the operating theater? I should be out helping people. I did. And it's just like it clicks on her.
Maybe your recklessness and impulsivity.
She's just like looking at Aziz and Nora's like, I fell. Oh no. I jumped.
Yes, you jumped, and you took my partner with you.
Because your actions don't affect just you.
She looks at the Aziz. She's like, I'm sorry, Aziz. I thought I could save us both. I thought I can get us out of the situation.
I know you can. You have in the past. Just take a look at what we did with all those transports, getting them out of that radiation belt. You've got a good heart. But this... Oh, big guy.
She kind of looks down back at herself, just like thinking about like what she's been doing, and just sees now she's not wet anymore, but now she's like covered in dust and blood, and just like all the markings. Like, I know, my heart, my bravery. It's not gonna be enough going forward. And she starts kind of laughing herself. Guess my mother was right though. It's one thing I do need: discipline. Aziz, Norin, we're going to get out of this. These, well, I'll tell you when I come back. But I know we can get out of this. I know we can help people, and whatever this is, it was in me. I'll do something with it. I can't run away from it anymore. I can't keep running away from it. Looks at Nora and just like, well, you out there, the real you, not to be offensive to you, not dead Norin. Memory Nor. I need to come up with a name for you.
Talk less, listen more.
She like smiles and stops like, listen more. Okay. Listen. Can I? She's gonna sit down. Like, where is she gonna sit? She's gonna walk into the ship and she's gonna go to her captain's seat.
All right.
Or just like go to the captain's seat so she could sit down on it. It's like, listen more, huh? Okay. And she wants to like kind of like just stop and just do the one thing she never does: stop, think, and just listen to the universe. Because anytime she's done before, she doesn't like hearing all of it. She wanted to fill her time with words and people. She knows there's something more, and she's just been spending years running away from it. And anytime she felt it coming, she just ran again. And the only place she's ever felt like she can listen was in her captain's chair, where she had to listen to her crew. She had to listen to other ships. She had to listen to her ship. She had to listen to Norin. So she's going to sit down in it, cross her legs, and just listen.
All right. I am wanting to get a force check, but I want to get you to roll 2 dice instead of 1.
Okay. 2 white dice?
Yep. 2 force dice.
Got it. Balanced, as all things should be. 1 light, 1 dark.
As you're meditating within this vision, first you actually start hearing it. You start hearing the loud chanting of a Union march. Like, there's chanting about safety, there's chanting about horrible pay, and as that's happening, you get a drone's eye view of it. It's like you're not flying up at a couple hundred feet, you're at maybe 20, 30. You can see people, you can see how big it is, and you can see the manufacturing facility that was definitely not there when you landed. You can see people marching around the outside gate, huge amounts of signs. It's a very mixed workforce of pretty much anyone who's any species that's bipedal is going there. You can see shoulder to shoulder the white armor of stormtroopers protecting the facility. In front of the stormtroopers, you can see a much thinner line of corporate security. They're in this dark blue kind of riot armor, very much a padded armor, like you'd expect from corpos, giving their security people. All of a sudden, as it's going on, one of the Twi'leks who is walking there gets pushed into one of the Corpo security, and the Corpo shoves back. And it starts a minor scuffle that just expands out as the corporate security starts getting in with their truncheons and starting to beat. Then you get people trying to drag people out, trying to like grab the truncheons to make it so that they aren't hitting. And then you get a rock getting flung out and it glancing off of one of the stormtroopers' helmets. Then the stormtroopers draw. They had been having their rifles across their chest in a very stormtrooper fashion. Then as soon as the first projectile starts, they draw and point at the protesters, to which there's a loud yell, very much a rebel yell, going from someone in the protest, and there's a surge forward. Stun bolts are going out into the protesters, but there's more protesters than the stormtroopers can fire at. And suddenly, the Imperials talking into their comlink. As soon as the comlink gets switched off, there's a bright light from the Star Destroyer above, and the parking lot of the turbo laser facility is hit with a turbo laser blast, like, from relatively close range. And it just sort of volcanoes up. As that starts setting off secondary explosions, things starting to come down, the protesters going from surging at the fences of the facility where they had worked at to now running away. And that is when you feel the very familiar feeling of the shock of pain that you felt shortly after you arrived at the planet.
Can I roll a discipline check to hold myself together this time? Because the first time she felt it, in real life, it took her down.
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll a discipline check to try to, like, hold to keep feeling, to not lose vision of this?
Yes.
Cool, because this is the first time I've gotten to use a discipline check, and I do have it as a career skill.
All right. In this case, I'm going to go with... It's going to be, again, a 3 purple check.
All right. And can one of you burn a light side point for me? Because I'm using that right now to get 2 yellows and 3 purples. And can I argue for a boost? Because this time I know it's coming. She's felt it once. She knows what's coming. She knows, like, to, like, kind of brace herself for this feeling.
Yeah, I'd totally go with that.
Yay. So that's to be 2 yellows, a boost, and 3 purples. So let's see what we get. 1 advantage. That boost did nothing!
I mean...
But yeah. So she's gonna scream and cry again, so...
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to hold herself up and just falls to the ground again, crying. Just like... They just killed them. They shot at them. There's so many people. They were just workers. Now they're gone. She kind of looks around to see if Aziz or Norn are still there.
Roll a pip. Roll a white die.
That.
I'd actually go with 2, but sure.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll throw another one on there. 3 dark side? Are you kidding me?
So what would be the absolute worst?
I'll give you the answer. The absolute worst is a dead Norn walking around. Its failure is all her dead friends, but that's just me. Oh, Ben, you do what you want to me. I brought this upon myself.
Mm,
I mean, if we want to be mean, I can be mean.
Be mean. Be mean.
Ben,
go mean, sure.
you feel that anger and that agony broiling inside of you, and you look up to see if Aziz and Norn are still there. And they're not there. And you push yourself up and you look around and you see at their stations Shen crumpled over the dashboard, Kedra fallen out of her chair, limp on the floor, and a little double vision because there's Norn as they looked when this happened, staring lifelessly up at the ceiling. But there's the Norn that was at the pod racing with you, standing there next to them, arms folded, looking around. I mean, how much did you really know them, though? How much did you really care? So overwhelmed by your feelings that you flew right into the way of the bombardment and killed them.
Oh, no. No. I didn't mean for this to happen. I wanted to help people. I wanted to make up for the mistakes, not cause them. She kind of looks up, looks at the dead crew, and she runs out of the cockpit. She tries to find her way to the commissary. The only place that she feels is the last place she can feel comfortable. The only place that doesn't have bad memories.
Hi there, Commander. And you see Hookman is sitting there. You can see blood coming from his ears and just covered in dust. He's still got his tunic on, but it doesn't look like he's got the clone trooper armor on him. And looks just absolutely wrecked.
Hookman, I'm sorry. I tried to save us. I tried. I just don't want you I don't want you to die for my mistakes.
Oh, you think that it was from your mistakes that I'm going to be perishing? That's a fresh one.
But I'm the one that took you to the top of that building. I'm the one that came up with the plan to jump. I could have taken a moment to figure something. I could have taken a second to think. And now you're there with me. Dying.
But we're not dead yet. If we do make it out of this, I might be thinking that we're going to be able to save a heck of a lot more people.
We need to make it, Hookman. I can't let it end like this.
And like what? Death? Defeat?
Death and defeats while others die because we weren't there to save them. Because we weren't there in time.
Well, there's only one way we can make sure that others don't get killed the way that people around here will.
How's that, Hookman?
Well, it's a bit further than what others are willing to do. Though I reckon most of the crew would be up for it. It's a little nastier.
As he's saying that, she kind of like she goes to reach for her plasma cutter and is like, "Oh, that's right, I dropped it." It's let me guess, we fight.
Well, it's what I was bred for. Sometimes we just need to.
She stops and she's thinking. It kind of clicked in her head all of a sudden. Like, when did you start calling me Commander? You you never called me you never called me that before.
I haven't?
No, you always call me Captain.
Hmm.
That's no.
I've seen a few things, and, well, you've been acting like some of the commanders and generals I've seen before. Some of the younger commanders. Probably shouldn't have had them on the battlefield, but really give us a choice. I mean, they were older than us.
At this point, she's kind of like gone and just gotten a cup of calf for each of them, and both of them bloodied, covered in dust. Quite possibly a couple broken limbs that they can't feel yet, that they'll feel when they wake up. It just sits next to Hookman, just like, what's who are these commanders and generals? I've asked around, and they just keep saying there was a war before I came here, before I came out to the rest of the galaxy. It's just told that I need to hide and run, and that's what I did. But Hookman, do you know what this is? Like Norin mentioned it, but wouldn't go in to tell me anymore.
Commander, I'm. Anything I know is from the outside in. I have just been looking. Not really even seeing. But feels right to be calling you Commander. And if you need help, see if a few of my old contacts when we wake up. If we wake up.
When we wake up. She kind of looks at her calf, holds it up to Hookman. Some calf always helps us wake up.
Right. So, as you look into the calf, I am thinking that, like, just sort of as it's there, the dark liquid is catching an overhead light. And then you see Kedra just running down a back alley as all of a sudden a building starts erupting behind her. And you can see Jones next to her jumping and covering her. You can see several dropships coming down from high orbit, and they seem to be disgorging stormtroopers around. And they're starting to do door-by-door searches. People huddling in their apartments and houses and row houses and what have you are getting brought out of their houses and are being sent down the road. You get a vision of that before that dissolves into the super classic look of you looking down at the two operating theaters. In one, you've got Hookman. In the other one, you've got Izazel. And there's Shen and Norn. Trollways are the two droids, Ouch and FX, or Ouch and Medics are there working. In a recovery bed, you can see a hut with their tails somewhat nipped off at the end.
Because Isel sees all this happen in her mug, looks up to Hookman, and is like, Hookman, your contacts, can they... She like looks at the blaster on her thigh that's probably broken. It's like, can you give me a better weapon than anything I've had? Because Looks like we're gonna need something stronger. Looks at her calf. Stronger than this. As she takes a sip. That's all she got. She's gonna wait and just like she's trusting is like Norin's gonna save her. Shen is there. Shen and Norin are gonna save her. They're gonna save Hookman. And then after that, they're gonna save everyone else. She just has to, for once in her life, she just has to be patient.
Izuzo looks on, and as the sounds from the real world sort of filter in, they can just sort of hear Norin sigh with relief. Vitals are stabilizing. She's gonna be okay.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Heroes of the Hydian Way. You can find show updates at linktree/The Hydian Way, and you can find me, Ben, on the socials at Deuterium Ice.
You can find me, Erica Goodwitch, at goodwitchstudios.com and linktree/Erica Goodwitch.
You can find me, Henry, everywhere as at SimDisorder with one Y and one I in that order.
And we are all at thehydianway.com, where you can find previous episodes in previous seasons.
You can find more episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Plus, you can help us out by rating, reviewing, and subscribing.
You can holocom us at heroes@thehydianway.com. You can find merch at tpublic.com/user/thehydianway.
If you like what we do and want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/thehydianway.
Or you can send the team some calf at kofi.com/thehydianway.
The two of you are no longer standing at the podcast, or the pod racer. Trying to do it too quick. I mean, 33% of the time happens a lot.
33% of the time doesn't work 100% of the time. Oh, God, lordy.
I mean, there's a reason why Silhouette Zero has merch around Boost Dice.
All sweet, Henry for the last one. We each get 10 XP!
Yeah, is it going to be Hookman or Ozzy that gets that 10 XP, Ben? Or they get 5 each?
Both. That means I gotta do characters for them. I really should, but I haven't.